Greetings, I am Tom Earl. On this week's episode, I talked to Mitch del Monico about his new book,
Politically Divided, a how-to healing workbook for families, friends, and couples.
Check it out. Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of grace. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, it means the world to me. I hope you know in this moment, just where you are, and just as you are loved, you are valued, and you are appreciated. I have an amazing guest. He goes by the name of Mitch del Monico. How's it going, Mitch?
Good, great.
AKA, you may recognize Mitch from the episode where I did it with Mitch, AKA Mickey, and Shaan. That was the episode where they talked about Agent of Change. So if you want to check that one out, you can find it at tomroll.com/agent of change. That was one of the most upvoted episodes of that year.
Really? It was so much fun.
It was hilarious.
It was so much fun. We laughed. Yeah.
A lot.
And Shaan and I laughed like all the way home, too.
Yeah.
Like, that was hilarious.
I think I'm going to listen to it again myself.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to it again, listen to it with us. It's absolutely hilarious.
We had a good time.
So for the folks who didn't tune into that one and don't know who you are, the few folks out there, there's like probably two people on the whole face of the earth. Can I read them your bio?
Please.
Okay, let's do this. And we're going to tag team the bio.
Oh,
Does
okay.
that work for you?
Maybe.
You'll know when it's your part to come in. Okay. Mitch, a.k.a.
Mickey.
There it is. See? We're already doing well. Del Monico is a writer who has worked as a film and music video director, editor, fact checker, personal trainer, and digital media assistant on a ship that sailed the Atlantic Ocean.
So true.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
His feature film, Alto, stars
Diana DeGarmo, Annabella Sciorra, Natalie Knepp.
Boom. And one of those folks is American Idols. Which one was
Diana
that?
DeGarmo.
There it is. Ding,
yes.
ding, ding.
And yes. I just was going to give her an awesome plug, but then I was like, yeah.
Plug away if you want.
Yeah, she's got a new album coming out. It's called Gemini, so check it out.
Boom. Okay, it continues with some more awesomeness. But wait, there's more. He is currently developing, along with co-director Shaan Dasani, that's who we were talking about, and the other director is...
Jack Garrison.
Boom. Agent of Change, a series about a trans secret agent fighting environmental crimes. That's what we were talking about. Mitch has also written for HuffPost and has researched TV shows for the History Channel, Discovery, the American Heroes Channel, among others, including a nearly 100 episodes of Modern Marvels. Wow, that's dope.
History Channel, man.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I'm great at Trivial Pursuit.
I believe that.
Really good.
Mitch has spoken on panels at Comic-Con, WonderCon, the LA Film Festival, and CreatorUp! And has served as a juror for the Thompson LGBT Film Festival for the past 3 years in a row. Holy smokes, that's fantastic.
Whoa. It makes it sound like I did so much.
You've been doing stuff. So, all of that to lead up to a really monumental moment in your already amazing career. Which is what?
Yeah, which is that I wrote a book. I wrote my first book. I never expected my first book to be nonfiction, and it is. It's called Politically Divided, a how-to healing workbook for families, friends, and couples. Although you can use it with your neighbor, somebody in your church. Like it just runs the gamut. And it's basically 27 plus. The plus is important,
yes.
Of course. It's probably like 28, but 27 plus activities designed to help you get to the heart of the political disagreements and also, importantly, have a little fun in the process.
Hey,
very
I take
important.
that.
Very important.
So, I mean, in my world, everything's all good. What do you...
Right. Are there problems out there? Are we having problems? I see nothing. Nothing. Especially not this week.
No. What led to this for you?
Well, after the 2016 election, the election we all remember, I disagreed with my family. I disagreed with how they voted, most of them, and I didn't know what to do. I was angry. I was hurt. I wasn't surprised. I was just upset, you know. I was disappointed. There were a lot of feelings going on. And I didn't talk to them for, I don't know, a month. Now, I'm Italian, so we talk a lot, usually, all the time. And I didn't talk to them for a month. It was like radio silence. But I didn't like how that felt. I didn't like the anger. I felt like it was poisoning any hope of having real conversations with my family. And I didn't know what else to do. I knew that I was a writer, and I knew that I liked games.
Yeah.
I like to create games just for fun, you know?
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe there was a way that in healing my relationship with my family, I could also create something that would help other people. Yeah.
What about your family's voting for Trump upset you?
I was disappointed in that I felt like the divisiveness came not from really knowing about the issues or thinking about the issues, but out of the stoked fear. And I wanted more. I also felt like he was exhibiting behaviors that my family had taught me not to do, or taught me, you know, that were almost abhorrent, you know. And so I felt like, what about that? What about his campaign had drawn them in and made them feel safer? Because I think voting is somewhat about feeling safe in the world. And I don't mean physically safe, but emotionally safe as well.
Yeah.
And what about that made them vote that way? So.
So did you start trying to do these activities first, or did you write about them and then try to do them?
I created the activities. Well, some of the chapters I wrote first and created an activity around it. But a lot of the time I had created activities that I thought would help people communicate or help them, so, you know, in their own mind, understand better why they felt the way they did. So as I was developing these activities, it became a book. Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you have any ones that you can give us an example of that you've done?
Yes.
And kind of share with us a story of how it went?
Sure. So I did a lot of these activities with my mom before publication.
Okay.
She was one of my test audience.
Did you tell her, like, I'm writing a book?
I told her everything.
Okay.
I also told her to be honest, which maybe that was a mistake.
Okay.
She was like, I would never do that. Okay. So the book is different because of her input and others. But one of the activities we did was to listen to each other's news programs on the same night and then talk about it. So I watched a Fox show. She watched an MSNBC show. And we talked through the issues. One of the interesting things I found is that for her, although the tone of the MSNBC show put her off a little bit, she was curious to know more about the issues that were being discussed. I didn't get that same feeling with Fox. Could have been just the show that I watched, but I felt as though they were trying to stoke a kind of disparate, just stoke the divisions between people. But I listened, and it's good to understand, and I like to do that activity again, actually, with my mom or with somebody else in my family. I think it's very useful to talk about the issues afterwards because, and I encourage people to either DVR it, write notes, take notes, because those notes are going to be your best friend when you want direct quotes, oh yes, no, they actually did say this specifically. But yeah, it helped.
What's the intention behind it? What were your thoughts for creating it, and what is the outcome that you're hoping for?
My intention for creating it was that I hadn't seen anything in the world that existed about this kind of divisiveness that were actual activities. I saw a lot of numbers. People were doing surveys and doing studies about it, but I didn't see anything actionable, and I wanted something actionable. Now, there are plenty of actionable things out there that people are doing, going around the country now, and I would like my book to help to contribute to those as well as individual people finding a way to take their anger and turn it into a way to get to know people better.
It reminds me, I do facilitation a lot around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's a lot of what we do. Yeah. Bring diverse people together and do some sort of experience rather than, like you said, stats don't really change people's mind. But that experience and someone you might have seen as the other, like them becoming humanized. Is that kind of the intention of the activities for yours as well?
It is the intention. And it's one of the intentions. I think with people who are close to you, you do humanize them. So in that respect, they are human beings to you, so already, but the anger that you feel pushes any kind of deep relationship away, I think. So, being honest with family was an important part of this for me. It was an important part of my journey. And so I didn't want to kind of go back into the closet as a Democrat, Yeah.
I have family members who, when I converted to Islam, ousted me from their life. Like, I couldn't come to any family events, couldn't come to any weddings. If they knew I was coming to a wedding, they wouldn't come. It's this huge thing. And so I've tried this with them, and it just becomes this like screaming, this like anti-Muslim screaming, like, oh, I have a neighbor who's Muslim, I hate them, they shouldn't be in my neighborhood, it's my country. What's kind of your thoughts around approaching a family member like that?
Yeah. It is difficult. You do have to have family members or friends who want to have those conversations. I don't think there's any magic thing to say. I think it's a gradual change that happens. Yeah. But if the person is willing to kind of get to know themselves better and maybe why does he feel that way, there's a technique called the 5 whys, which people may know about. Toyota actually started it. In a manufacturing process. But the idea is to keep asking why at least 5 times to get to what's underneath the issue. And that's one or two of the activities involve that in the book, where you're trying to understand, well, why does he feel that way? And if you kept asking why and he kept replying, maybe you would get to something that you both could understand.
Do you notice when you're doing the why, do people pick up on it and are like, stop it? Or do they not notice?
No, I mean, some people are uncomfortable just because the idea of the why is to get to what's in here. So if you don't want to get to what's in here and you're more comfortable being mad, people are going to notice that and push back against it.
I found because there's negotiation techniques like that. And a lot of times they'll tell you that you're using a technique, and in your mind you're like, they're going to notice. But most people, even people who are trained in those techniques, don't notice when the techniques are actually being used on them.
Right. I believe that. I mean, I think when we're in an emotional state, which I guess we always are, right? If technically always in an emotional state, whether the emotion is calm or whatever. But when you're heightened emotionally, you tend to just, you're reacting, and you're reacting in a very direct way with the other person.
So do you find that some of these activities help to like cool some of those emotions so you can actually have a I see you conversation? My
hope is that they do. Yeah.
What's one to use for a situation like that where you're both really worked up, but you still both have that desire to work through something?
Well, this one actually, I don't know if it directly corresponds to that because it's more about when you're apart, but it's called Should I Meditate or Call You?
Okay.
And it's a flowchart. You basically ask yourself questions to get to, should I actually call this person? Because maybe now is not the best time.
I have found that same thing with should I meditate or post this?
There you go. I mean, I think it's,
So a lot of this, I'm guessing, is because we find ourselves becoming more and more siloed. And everybody that you look around is like has the same opinion as you. Is that one of the inspiration, one of the analysis that led to this for you?
Not for me. For me personally, I try to have friends who have different opinions. I don't block people on Facebook if they have a different opinion than I do. I actually, I'm not going to like the comment, but it's instructive to me. So I try to approach things more from a place of curiosity and compassion. I mean, compassion can be tough. I'm not like some, purist who thinks, we just got to all get along, because it's not easy. It's really hard. And I just wanted to do something that would contribute to it, to helping it.
So I know there's some, controversy around our Sicilians, white people.
Yes.
But let's assume that they are.
Okay.
Have people been like, at all, like, you're a white guy, who are you to tell us to come together and have dialogue?
I have not gotten that response yet. I say yet because it could happen. I try to state up front that I'm coming from the place where I'm coming from, and that people really, I understand that people have different experiences in the world, and that's part of what I want to learn about. So if there is something or some activity that doesn't feel right to somebody for a particular reason, if I got that comment repeatedly, I would look at that activity and think, well, how can I, either alter it, or do I need to pull it?
What you said, where I'm coming from, where are you coming from?
How so?
Like, what's my question?
Yeah.
What's your question?
What's your question? Hey, what's your question?
Why? You were saying that, I'm upfront with people about where I'm coming from.
Gotcha.
What is that upfrontness? What do you...
So some of that upfrontness involves my being a trans man. That is sometimes it's not important to state that, but sometimes it is, because people feel for some reason deceived. Although I'm just trying to be myself, but I think it is important in some situations to do that.
Why?
I want people to know that. I also have felt othered, I guess. Yeah. Othered.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine that's a pretty big experience.
It is, and I think there is a lot to be said about. I transitioned later in life, so I had experienced the world in a female body, and being socialized female and treated that way. And treated as a masculine presenting female, which society is not so kind to. So, although in my mind, and I knew who I was, other people perceive you differently. And I think that is a common experience, a common theme for a lot of people, that I know who I am inside. I am the person that I am. You're seeing me based on a stereotype. You're not seeing me.
Agreed. Yeah. And I do think that it lends, I don't know if grace is the word, but the fact that, Trump is, transphobic as hell. And so I feel the same way when my family, he's also very Islamophobic. So I have friends or family who vote for him. I'm like, you care about me, but you're electing somebody who doesn't want me or people like me to be safe. Yeah. So why, your politics are personal. Your politics hurt people, and specifically me. So how can you want to break bread with me, someone you love, when you're empowering somebody who, wants to see me either directly hurt, or they want to, give air cover to groups who want to hurt me? Right. Do you relate to that, or is that a part of...
I do, and I think the way that I've tried to address that, because I haven't found that asking that direct question gets me a whole lot of anything.
Same here. This is more what I think. This is in my head.
Right. No, of course, yeah. So I tried to get to the answer to that, because that is the question. I try to get to the answer to that through some of these exercises and through other ways of communicating about people's fears, and finding out what what is important to them in their lives, what matters on the day-to-day, what matters globally, what matters existentially, life and death kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I try to get to the answer to that question through those other questions.
There's almost this feeling of you're, in my opinion, the one being wronged. Like a cis person who has privilege is electing somebody who has a ton of privilege to be in the ultimate level of power to then put in laws that potentially can and do hurt people, right? But yeah, you're the one coming to the table saying, I'd like for us to find a way to heal and find common ground. Like, I don't know, there's something about that seems like not fair.
I totally get it. I don't think it is fair. I mean, I don't think it is fair, but I guess it's been... the only way I can say that it isn't fair, but the only way I can kind of say it's okay in my own head is that I want to contribute positivity to the world. So I look at it like I'm just doing, either the work that I'm supposed to be doing to contribute to that. So I look at it more as a personal mission, not to change minds, but to communicate better with people.
So this feeling of like, I'm here on this earth for a reason.
Yeah.
How do you get connected to that? I mean, that's a pretty
I would love to tell you that, like, I meditate for an hour every day. I think about this. I don't do any of that.
That's good because most people listening don't. And so they're wondering, I mean, really, it's like such a badass thing you're doing. But there's also like, I don't know if you relate to this, but like almost like a spiritual or bigger than yourself element to it that I don't think most people come to from meditation.
Right.
So not knocking meditation, but I think usually
some people do though. Yes. And
so I think whatever it is, I know folks would love to hear it if you're willing to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that it is a sense that I'm connected to the people around me, the things around me. I've always been more, I guess, sensitive, and so I look at people as companions in this world. I look at animals as companions in this world. I look at, and I'm not a vegetarian either, but there's some connection for me. I'll just sit sometimes and not that we have tons of time to do this, but I love, hearing a bird sing. It's a simple thing, but it connects me, and it connects me to my ancestors as well. There's some part of me that really feels that I have a responsibility to my ancestors as well to do the best I can in this lifetime to connect with other people.
And the people coming after us.
Yeah, them too. Them too. For sure. For sure.
Have you had any... I find that in these kind of conversations that there's this sweet spot you find where no matter how tense it started, you find this part where both people feel like they're being understood. Might not be agreeing. Right. Have you found any sort of moments in these conversations where you felt like it was really heated and then you got this place of like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually, and I don't, which is interesting, is that I don't remember the conflict that led to this, but my mother and I were disagreeing on something vehemently, and somehow it got to a story about her in middle school in a jukebox and the gym, and she just described it so well to me that I felt like I was there, and I felt the feelings that she had felt in that moment. And and after that, it was like, okay, the anger was pulled out of that moment, and I got to know something about my mother that I probably wouldn't have known otherwise.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think the year was like 2007 or 8. So my major is Africology, and I first started taking these classes, and I was just like fucking fired up. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So my grandma's first generation Irish Catholic, like one of like 12 kids, Chicago, tough life, like that whole story. And I was like, I need to know what her story is, because I know what it looks like on the outside, and I'm very judgy of it. So I found we used to just like argue for like an hour, 2 hours on the phone.
Yeah.
But
wow.
man, did it make us close.
Yeah, I bet it did. It really can. And that, to me, that's what this book is all about, is just bringing closeness to people, you know, to our relationships. And letting ourselves be vulnerable it's really tough. You know, we have so many protective mechanisms, some with good reason. So to open those doors and have these conversations is, to me, one of the most spiritual things I can do.
That's wonderful. So for folks who are like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And they've got the book. Where can they get the book, by the way?
You can get the book on Amazon and BN, that's barnesandnoble.com. And politicallydividedbook.com is the website.
Okay, and of course, all the show notes, tomrell.com/Mitch, MITCH. All of that stuff will be. But let's say they got the book.
Yeah.
They're ready to do an activity.
Yeah.
They are excited. Are there any do's that really help guide it along? And let's go those first, then we'll do the don'ts.
Okay. I mean, I think the do's are, you know, let yourself be open, let yourself be curious. I do start off with an actual, not legally binding, but a non-disclosure agreement. And basically that's, you know, if somebody tells you something, don't presume that they want you to tell everybody else. If you're in these heated conversations and somebody reveals something, ask if it's okay, if you can share it with somebody else, if that's what you want to do. Know that, you know, so I guess it's creating safe space, you know?
Yeah. What's said in here stays in here. Don't go on Tom Rell's podcast and tell everybody their business.
This isn't Vegas. Oh, wait, Vegas, you do keep it there, right? Yeah.
Okay, so confidentiality. Any other, is there any like words or phrases that you have found either like push people's buttons, or I don't know what the opposite of pushing your button is.
I mean, I think whenever you say, you know, you're so whatever, fill in the blank. Unless it's you're so wonderful, people are really upset. You know, they don't respond well to that. People don't like being told there's something wrong with them, or that their views are dumb or, you know, ignorant. Nobody wants to be told that. And I know I wouldn't want to be told that. So therefore I try. I mean, I do talk about the golden rule. It's pretty basic, but, you know, treat others as you would like to be treated, and then be honest with yourself about how you'd like to be treated. I do feel there's, like, you know, corollaries.
So I'm hearing that it's not necessarily a bait. Like, you're not trying to enter the conversation, trying to like have the person in tears being like, you're right, I'm stupid. That's not the goal. Yeah.
Well, you know, no. After I think about it, no. No, definitely not. I mean, the person, you may end up in tears, the other person may end up in tears for something, but let it be for something that brings you closer rather than something that pushes you away.
How do you do that when you're going into something as heated as the current political climate? Where, I mean, we like extreme times. White supremacists marching. The FBI statistics show hate crimes have risen significantly. How do you go in talking about, you know, with that idea of, I'm going to seek first to understand?
Yeah, like how do I get to that level of being curious kind of thing? I think by taking the time before I have any of these conversations to, I mean, I do kind of ask, like, please, you know, let me be of service. And I ask that of my ancestors. I ask that, you know, of whatever spiritual notion that I have. Just, you know, let me be of service. Let me help rather than contribute something negative to the process or to the world. It's tough, you know. I mean, I'm not saying I don't get angry. I'm not saying I don't get rageful. I get all of those things, you know, sometimes all at once. And, you know, part of for me, part of becoming a better person in the world is becoming aware of my emotions and self-aware enough that I can step back from things that might be hurtful and rearrange it so that it's a way that can be helpful.
I like that. I would add to it, I think that one of the reasons I approach it with that is because it works.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's just basic, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It works. I love it. Yeah.
And so it's just a strategy that it's not very, what's that word called? Like, it's like an ego word. You know, it doesn't feel as satisfying to be like, you stupid, how could you vote for you idiot, like that. It doesn't feel as,
it does not feel as satisfying.
Cathartic.
There's but go do that when you're alone, yell at a brick wall. I'm not saying don't yell. In fact, I think there are times in here where I encourage it. I just encourage you to do it in a place that doesn't hurt other people, or animals, or any thing.
Or yourself.
Anything like that, right? Or yourself, exactly. A lot of self-compassion in there. And I do talk about like my personal corollary to the golden rule of treat others as you would like to be treated is also about giving other people the same benefit of the doubt that you give yourself. And I think that's approaching conversations with that in mind helps as well. I liken it to, you're in a car and you're really mad that the person in front of you keeps hitting the brake. Well, they're looking for a parking spot and you're angry at them. If you were looking for a parking spot, you would give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I'm hitting the brake because, hey, I need to find a parking spot. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard people say that, like, assume best intentions.
That's, yeah.
So talk a little bit about, if you're willing to, I was interviewing somebody a couple weeks ago who wrote a book, and before I interviewed them, I was just reflecting on how many people out there are like, I'm going to write a book, and it never happens.
Right.
So writing a book's huge.
Writing a book is probably, for me, was it harder than making a movie? I don't know. They're equally hard, big projects.
Yeah.
What was harder about this was that I thought that a friend of mine was going to help me design the book, an actual graphic designer, So I was like, hey, awesome. She got a really good job. I'm very happy for her. That meant that I was in a position where to either find somebody else or to learn an entirely new program called InDesign, new to me, and format it myself. And I... of course, took the hard way. I'm not sure what that's about.
What's the hard way?
Was doing it myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Fortunately, I do have a good graphic sense. I'm not like randomly, just whatever. But I had to teach myself the program. And I'm telling you, for anyone out there who's trying to write a book or trying to do something like this, looking at the blank page is terrifying. It is. You don't know if you're going to be able to make that thing that's going to help or to share with the world. But for me, it was the next right thing. What is the next right thing I can do toward getting this book done? And who do I need to ask for help? And if that person is not there, can I find that help on the internet? Can I find it on YouTube? A lot of times I did, or Udemy. I learned a lot. So, and also give yourself a break because you're going to learn as you're doing.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. Like, I know this book is, I'd love to tell you it's perfect. It's a great book. I'm very proud of it. It's not perfect, And same with the film that I made, I have a lot of pride in it. But I know that there are things that I would do differently if I had it to do over.
Yeah. So many people I see who start a entrepreneurial or a creative project or something that really, it's just them. There's no boss being like, well, why isn't it done?
Right.
How do you get to the place where at those times where it sucks and maybe even you suck at it, instead of shying away or being like, I don't feel like it, that you actually sit down and the blank page goes from 0 words to 4 or whatever. What do you think within you has you go to the crossroads of actually going for it?
Right. My dad used to say, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. He didn't originally say that. I think it was Yogi Berra.
I don't know. I've heard people say your dad every time.
Exactly,
like, that was Mitch's dad.
For sure.
But Yogi Berra didn't know that. That's dope.
But he said it in reference to me. The most recent was that I had a bad motorcycle accident, and I really was down, and I needed to find that inner strength to keep going. So I think when you feel, at your worst, or like, I can't do this, which happens, by the way, to all of us. Like, everybody, I think, at some point in doing a big project says to themselves, I can't do this. You need to find those people and those things in your life that tell you can. And whoever that is, whatever that is, take the time to step away for a day, not 10 days, not 2 weeks, step away for a day, go out in nature if that's your thing, go to a party if that's your thing, whatever it is that kind of makes you feel connected again and like jazzed, really jazzed up, really excited to do something. Do that thing.
Yeah. What was your thing? Hanging out with Shaan?
God. Yeah, well, that's one of them. He's a very encouraging person, and I do have friends that I have like a weekly check-in with some friends, and we go through all that. And there are other creators, people who've done it, and also sometimes just reading other people's work inspired me to be like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. It really is just doing one thing every day toward that goal that you have, and making that goal a priority. Because I think a lot of times we deceive ourselves in saying, oh, I really want to, I don't know, learn French or something like that. And if it's not a priority, it's not going to happen. And that's okay. It's okay as long as you admit, like, hey, you know what? I want to learn French, but that's not a priority for me right now. So there's only so many hours in the day. I need to sleep. I need to eat, and ideally take a shower. So there are only so many hours when I can do these things. So being honest about that. If it was a priority, maybe I wouldn't watch NCIS. I don't know.
Yeah. What about, there's a lot of misconceptions about inspiration, where people think that every time you sat down to write, you were like, I got it. Was it always like that for you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm totally inspired all the time. Every time I sit down. No, absolutely not. There were days where I seriously had to force myself to get in front of that computer. And fortunately, there are so many tests involved in creating a book that if you're not up for one that particular day, you might be up for another. You might be like, okay, I can't write this new chapter, but I could edit that one. I could do that today.
You got the book with you. Can you grab it?
I do.
Let's show the good folks out there what it looks like.
All right.
Yeah.
There it is.
Boom.
There it is. There it is.
So the first time you held this in your hands,
yeah,
what did that feel like?
Oh, God, I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is and I was excited as well. I mean, it was the culmination of a lot of work, and I felt good about doing that work. And flipping through it, all the design work that went into it as well, I felt like, all right, I taught myself something. I felt accomplished.
Yeah.
And I also felt like this is awesome because I really do think this can help people communicate.
I do as well.
Thank you.
Yes. So I want to encourage everybody to get your copy. Once again, it's on Amazon. What's the name?
Politically Divided.
Go for it.
A how-to healing workbook for families, friends, and couples.
Let's do it twice again.
Politically Divided. A how-to healing workbook for families, friends, and couples.
Third time.
Oh, third time's the charm. Is third time the charm?
Yeah.
Politically Divided. A how-to healing workbook for families, friends, and couples.
So if you just go to Amazon, Politically Divided, Mitch del Monico, or I bet you if you even just write Politically Divided Mitch.
Yeah. And you can go to politicallydividedbook.com and click on any link there, and that'll take you right to it.
Of course, tomearl.com/Mitch is where all the show notes are. But in case you don't know the name of the book, it is
Politically Divided, a how-to healing workbook for families, friends, and couples.
You'd be surprised. The repetition actually does work.
I believe it. Hey.
People are like, on iPad.
They're like, oh, the fourth time.
Stop
like,
it.
Oh.
Stop it, Tom. Don't say it again. Well, you want to know what? Politically divided.
PoliticallyDividedBook.com.
There it is.
There it is. And if anybody, also, I just want to put a shout out that if anybody has any questions, they can feel free to get in touch with me via the website. There's a contact form. Please reach out. If you get the book and you use it, I'd love to hear about it. So you can, I'm at Mickey Del, MIKKIDEL, on the platforms. So you can find me there too.
Show notes will have that as well. Honestly, I just want to I've been doing facilitation work for years, and I have found that activities truly are what create that breakthrough. So if you're finding that you're talking to your parents and it's just this thing you don't talk about, or your spouse or your best friend, and it's this thing you don't talk about, I found time and time again that actually addressing that conflict and working through it, it's going to make you closer than you actually were before you worked through the conflict. So this whole thing going on, it does suck, it does make you want to tear their hair out, but remember, they feel the same way about you. So go through it together, and you're going to get some real clarity and some real understanding. It's 100% worth it. It's worth the struggle. The reward is a deeper friendship with somebody you truly care about, and moving the dial on a political conversation that we truly need to have. Otherwise, we're going to keep getting Trumps. And on the other hand, we're going to keep getting terrible Democrats as well. So on both sides, we need actual politicians who are going to move the dial.
And I do also want to say that if you want a sample chapter, if you go to politicallydividedbook.com, there's a tab somewhere that's sample chapter, and you can sign up and get a sample chapter. So that'll give you a sense of what it's like.
Sample that chapter. What are you doing? Hit pause, go sample that chapter, then hit play, and learn a little bit more about what we're going to talk about. But check out that sample chapter, give it a shot, tag either of us. We'd love to hear how it went.
Yeah, thank you.
So I want to thank you so much for coming. This has been absolutely amazing.
It's been a lot of fun for me too.
2 more questions for you.
Sure.
And then we're out of here. First question. This is my year of grace. What does grace mean to you?
Grace to me means knowing yourself and taking that curiosity about yourself and applying it outward to the world. That's all.
Man, that was succinct as hell. Can I get a...
Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like I sent you that beforehand, but I did not.
But you didn't.
That was awesome.
Hence the pause beforehand, like, okay.
It usually stumps people, and then when they're like, what about for you? I'm like, I'm asking the questions around you.
And see, I let you just ask them. I didn't even ask back.
And my last question is our closing ritual. What is your invitation to the audience? What would you like to invite them to do, to consider, to be, to think about, to experience? What's your invitation?
Be curious. Yeah, be curious.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Thank you once again. I so much appreciate it.
You are so welcome.
We always have a good time.
I'd love to do it again.
I would
anytime.
Love to. All you got to do is write another book.
All right.
No,
That's it.
You're welcome back anytime. I know you tried to bring Shaan along.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not
did.
going to town.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get you and Shaan back again.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick, how's Agent of Change coming along?
It is coming along, and you should probably talk more to Shaan about that. He'll have more of the ins and outs.
Okay.
But it's coming along.
Agentofchange.com, right?
Yeah.
Boom.
Agentofchangeshow.com.
Agentofchangeshow.com. All right, my friends. Thank you, honestly.
Thank you.
And to all those watching / listening, we're wishing you peace / blessings.
Yes.
It's the first time I did the /. I think it was fun. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings for real. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.